3 days. That's what the US government recommends every household keep in emergency food supply. 3 days. Switzerland recommends 2 months. And Switzerland isn't guessing. It's the only country on Earth that guarantees every single one of its 9 million citizens a physical spot in a nuclear shelter, over 370,000 of them, written into law since 1962. More bunkers per person than anywhere in the world. So when a country that has thought harder about civil defense than any nation on the planet tells its own people how much food to keep, that number is worth understanding. 2 months, not 3 days. Here's what they actually store, why the list is shorter than you'd expect, and the one rule buried in Swiss law that changes how you should think about your own pantry regardless of where you live. Why Switzerland and why it's different. Start with how this happened, because the history explains the list. A week after the First World War broke out, Swiss shops were stripped bare of rice, coffee, and canned food. The government had to introduce rationing. It happened again in the Second World War. Protesters carried banners reading, "Hoarding is a betrayal of our homeland," and people kept panic buying anyway. Switzerland drew a specific conclusion from that. Not tell people to stay calm. Instead, if every household already holds a reserve, there is nothing to panic buy. The stockpile isn't just protection for the family, it's what stops the shelves from emptying in the first place. So after the war, the government issued a household mandate. Per household, 2 kilos of sugar, 1 liter of oil, 2 kilos of rice, and 1 kilo of pasta, flour, or canned food. Look at that list. 4 items. No freeze-dried buckets, no 30-year survival kits, no gear. Sugar, oil, rice, and starch. The cheapest, densest, longest-lasting calories available in any shop on Earth. That's the first lesson in Swiss disaster preparedness, and it runs against almost everything the modern prepping industry sells you. The official national list is almost aggressively boring. Then came the Cold War and the bunkers. In 1959, Swiss voters approved a civil protection clause in the federal constitution, 62% in favor. By 1963, new buildings were legally required to include fallout shelters, and unlike most countries, Switzerland never dismantled the system. When Parliament debated scrapping it in 2011, Fukushima melted down mid-debate, and they decided to keep it as a national reserve. For comparison, Sweden has shelter for roughly 80% of its population, Finland 70%, Austria around 30%, Germany around 3%. Switzerland is at 100%, by law. The 5-day rule. Now, the detail almost nobody outside Switzerland knows, and it's the most useful idea in this entire video. Most Swiss bunkers today are not stocked. They're wine cellars, ski storage, junk rooms. That's openly acknowledged and legally tolerated with one condition. Owners must be able to make the shelter operational, equipped with beds and supplies within 5 days of an emergency order. Sit with that, because it's a genuinely different model of preparedness. Switzerland doesn't require you to live in a state of readiness. It requires you to be able to reach readiness on a defined timeline. The bunker can hold your bicycles right up until the order comes, but you must know exactly where the beds are, where the supplies are, and how to have it all standing in 5 days. That reframes the entire question for a normal household. Most people think about preparedness as a wall of supplies they may never touch. The Swiss model asks something more practical and much more achievable. If you got 5 days' notice, could you actually be ready? Most people, honestly, could not. Not because they lack supplies, but because they've never once thought through the sequence. So here's the useful exercise, and it costs nothing. Give yourself 5 days on paper. What would you buy on day 1 before anyone else moved? What's already in the house? What would you discover you'd forgotten? The manual can opener, the batteries, the prescriptions. Run that in your head this week, and you'll find the gaps faster than any checklist will show you. How much food to store, the actual numbers. Now to the number that started this. How much food to store according to Switzerland, at least 2 months. And critically, the Swiss framing is per person, in a form you'll actually rotate. This isn't a sealed doomsday cache. It's a deeper version of a normal pantry, eaten and replaced continuously. That distinction is the whole game, and it's where most long-term food storage advice goes wrong. A stockpile you never touch is a stockpile that expires. A stockpile you eat from and refill is one that's always current, and it costs almost nothing extra because you were buying the food anyway. Set that against the American standard. FEMA and Ready.gov recommend a minimum of 3 days for evacuation, with 2 weeks as the extended goal for sheltering at home. 3 days versus 2 months. Now that gap isn't purely a difference in courage, it reflects genuinely different situations. Switzerland is landlocked, historically neutral, surrounded by countries it has been cut off from before, and imports a very large share of its food. It has concrete historical memory of empty shelves. But here's the part that should give an American pause. The US figure is a minimum for evacuation, and almost nobody treats it that way. Surveys consistently find most households don't even reach 3 days. The Swiss number isn't extreme by their standards. Ours is complacent by anyone's. The Swiss Emergency Food Supply List. So what does 2 months of Swiss household reserve actually consist of? This is the Emergency Food Supply List in the order it earns its place. Water first, 9 liters per person. The official Swiss guidance leads with water, not food, and everyone else's list should too. That's roughly 3 days of drinking water in bottles, on the assumption you'll have other sources beyond that. Rice, pasta, and flour. The carbohydrate base, and the same items from that post-war mandate. Cheap, dense, and stored dry and sealed, good for years. White rice specifically, not brown. The oil in the brand goes rancid within about a year, which is the single most common storage mistake I see. Cooking oil. One of the original 4 items and the one modern stockpiles skip most often. Fat is the most calorie-dense thing you can store, and it's required to absorb vitamins A, D, E, and K. They're fat-soluble, meaning without dietary fat, your body can't take them up at all. A pantry of pure rice and pasta is not a pantry that sustains anyone well. Sugar and salt. Also from the original list. Both effectively never expire. Both are preservation tools as well as food. Salt in particular is the highest value per dollar item in any stockpile and the one people consistently underbuy. Canned and jarred goods. Vegetables, fish, meat, fruit. Years of shelf life, no cooking required. And the underrated part? Variety. Swiss guidance emphasizes keeping foods the household actually eats because the reserve is meant to be rotated. Long life milk and hard cheese. UHT milk keeps for months unrefrigerated. This is the dairy layer most English language lists skip entirely. Coffee, tea, and chocolate. These are on the official Swiss list, and their presence tells you something the American lists don't say out loud. Morale is treated as a real variable, not a luxury. A population under stress that has coffee behaves differently from one that doesn't. And notice what isn't here. No freeze-dried buckets, no $50 per day survival kits, no 25-year warranties. The most preparedness-serious country on the planet stocks its national reserve with groceries. What the Swiss model gets right. 3 principles worth stealing, whatever country you're in. 1. Depth over drama. 2 months of ordinary food beats 3 days of specialized gear. The Swiss list is boring on purpose, and boring is what actually gets bought, stored, rotated, and eaten. 2. Rotation over ceiling. A reserve you eat from is a reserve that's always fresh. Buy what you eat what you store, replace as you go. It removes the expiry problem entirely, and it spreads the cost across normal grocery spending instead of one painful purchase. 3. Readiness as a process, not a state. The 5-day rule is the smartest idea in Swiss civil protection. You don't have to be prepared right now. You have to know exactly how you'd get there and have tested that you can. That third one is why this matters even if you never store 2 months of anything. Most people's real gap isn't supplies. It's that they've never sequenced it. So when the order comes, they lose the first 2 days deciding. The honest caveats. 2 things to be straight about because the version of this story circulating online is usually oversimplified. The bunker system is shrinking. Since 2012, only residential buildings with more than 38 apartments must include a shelter. The federal government is moving toward fewer, larger, better-maintained public shelters rather than 370,000 private ones. The guarantee of a space for every resident remains, but the shape of it is changing. And most Swiss people are not living in a state of readiness. The bunkers are full of wine and skis. The 2-month recommendation is guidance, not enforcement, and compliance is uneven. Switzerland isn't a nation of preppers, it's a nation with unusually good infrastructure and unusually clear official advice, which, if anything, makes the story more useful rather than less. The Swiss advantage isn't fanaticism, it's that the official guidance is realistic, the food list is ordinary, and the system assumes people are normal. 2 months, not 3 days, rice, oil, sugar, salt, tinned food, and coffee, the same list the government issued after the war because it was right then and it's right now. And a 5-day clock that says preparedness isn't a wall of buckets. It's knowing the sequence. So here's the only homework from this video. Pick a number, 2 weeks, a month, 2 months, whatever's realistic for your space and budget, and start buying slightly more than you need of the food you already eat. Then eat it and replace it. That's the whole Swiss system. That's emergency food supply the way the most prepared country on earth actually does it. Not dramatic, just deeper than yesterday.